Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin update. We've seen a couple of short-term breakdowns on Bitcoin, a breakdown from a descending channel formation and also a breakdown from a descending support line that lasted about a month and a half. So it's some big stuff here and more fuel to the fire that is sending Bitcoin downwards. Now, where could Bitcoin go and when will it reach that level? We've got targets such as 38.5K all the way down to a 28K target. There actually is reasoning behind these targets here. We need to get into them in this video, but we also need to update you just on what's happening in the short term and how it's affecting the price action here. So overall market recap today, let's get into it. Guys, Bitcoin topped out at 49K and it's now down quite significantly. It's down about 16 to 17% from the top. And so people are naturally asking questions, where could this correction go? I've answered this question. I will answer it again in today's video, but I do want to also update you on the current situation, what's actually happened, especially over the last couple of days, because it's been quite interesting. So let's get into it. Now, as you can see here on the chart, we have various ascending yellow lines on the screen. These were three major support lines that kind of held up the upwards trend for Bitcoin. I shouted out, I said the importance of them in recent videos. I've been discussing them quite a bit, and I said that we'll see a bounce off of these yellow lines, a short-term bounce, and then we'll crash below them. And that's basically what we've done. That's actually exactly what we've done. We saw a small bounce off a couple of these yellow lines, vaguely. We bounced upwards from around 41.6K to 43.5K, a 2K bounce. I said that we formed this ascending channel formation in the other video. In fact, it was actually a bearish pennant at the time, but it changed into a descending channel. And we've broken down from that ascending channel as expected, broken down from the structure we formed down there. Again, it was a bearish pennant at the time, but the support line was exactly the same. We broke that support line after a bounce. We didn't reach any of the higher targets as expected. And we broke down below all those yellow lines now. Not only have we done that, but we've also broke down from the yellow lines and we've come up and we've flipped one of them for resistance and we've continued to move downwards. So this is incredibly bearish for Bitcoin short term. The move is progressing as expected. I'm not willing to say I am going to start deleting these lines now. For example, I'll delete the higher two ones because it's actually this one here that we've just rejected from, that we're actually holding for resistance still. So I'll keep this one on the screen. I'll delete this ascending channel as well. Just trying to simplify this chart for you guys and for me as well here. But I want to make something very clear. Bitcoin hasn't necessarily lost the downwards trend yet. And you might think, the upwards trend yet, and you might think, that's ridiculous. Of course it's lost the upwards trend. Well, an upwards trend is formed by higher highs and higher lows, right? We've been seeing higher highs and higher lows since September 11th, 2023. So for about 3 months straight, we've seen higher highs and higher lows. A very, very long period of time we've been in an upwards trend. And we saw, upon breaking up into this price region here, our first low was at 40K. We haven't dropped below 40K yet, so I'm not necessarily willing to say that Bitcoin is in a downwards trend yet, although it doesn't actually matter. What matters is the fact that we're correcting. We are very much correcting. We have very much lost an ascending support line. This correction was perfectly predicted in a video I did right over here just 8 days ago. Wake up, major 48K to 52K rejection imminent. We rejected from 49, right in between that range. We're not surprised by this correction. In fact, we actually think it's going to go further down, and this is where we're getting into this video today. We saw the breakdown of short-term structures such as that ascending channel. We've seen the resistance support flip from this yellow line. We've seen also a breakdown from this RSI descending wedge. Not only that, but we've come down and we've flipped it for resistance and continued downwards once more. I very much do not think the Bitcoin bottom is in for this move. I think we will go down lower. Where do I think we will go? This is what I've discussed in previous videos, right? So we've recapped the information. The information that's come in over the last 48 hours is, breaking down from yellow lines, threatening the upwards trend quite significantly, seeing resistance support flips. All of the information we've seen coming in the last 48 hours that we haven't discussed before just kind of validates what we already know and gives more evidence and more backing to what we already know. We know that it's bearish. We know that the short term, the medium term is looking bad, but we know on a long-term scale this is healthy. This is what we need to see on a long-term scale. It's very similar, in fact, to what we saw in 2019. In 2019, we saw the Bitcoin bottom. We went straight into an upwards rally. We saw a massive rally to the upside. We went upwards too high, ultimately, too quickly before the halving. We rejected. We saw a major correction before the halving. And then at the halving, we started going upwards. The halving is in just under 100 days now, okay? Just under 100 days until the halving. And what you can see is we did a very similar thing to 2019, okay? We saw the bottom. We saw a parabolic upwards rally for the last basically year and a bit, year and a month. And now we're seeing the rejection. We're very clear with that very clear bearish candle there. Rejection. We're probably going to be entering a correction similar to 2019. I don't think it will be as drawn out as 2019, as we are closer to the halving than we were in 2019. And 2019 moved much faster from the bottom. But I think it will be similar in the sense that it will be a pretty halving correction. It will be quite significant. I do expect this correction to go lower. And here's we get into where I expect it to go. Now, I might sound like a broken record here because I've already made my claims very simple, very clear about this. But I think that Bitcoin first target, and this is what I've said the whole time, the first target for this correction, I've said this since 49K, is 38.5K. Why do I say that? That's the first target. That's not the only target. It's the first target. Why do I say that? 38.5K is the nearest macro support. Okay, if we look at the volume profile, we can bring up the volume profile. We can see where the historical trading volume is. The historical trading volume in this level starts at 38K to 38.5K. That is our major support block. That is our nearest major support. So our first target, of course, is 38.5K. Based on recent price developments, there's absolutely no reason to believe we won't be going there. Again, resistance support flip off this ascending line. Again, losing all the yellow lines for support, threatening the upwards trend, forming some sort of rounding top formation here with a very strong candle wick to the upside. The ETF narrative has dissipated for the most part. No one's talking about ETFs anymore. Obviously, that narrative was one of the reasons Bitcoin went upwards so viciously and for such a long period of time. That doesn't really exist anymore, and so Bitcoin is going downwards. And yeah, I think that we will reach 38.5K without a hassle, without a problem. Yes, again, there might be bounces along the way, just like the bounce we predicted the other day that ended up playing out. But 38.5K to 37K-ish to 37 or whatever it is, 38.5 to 38 is, well, let's actually see. Let's be precise here, right? There's no point beating around the bush. The volume profile stems from around, okay, it starts at around 38.5K. It's going down to around 37. That is a major support box right there, okay? Realistically, 38.5 to 37.5 as validated by candle closes, which you can see right here in March 2022. That is our major support. That is our first target. Okay, we very well should reach that. If we don't reach that, I'd be very intrigued because it's something that every single analyst I've spoken to in this price region believes will happen at this point. It's just not even, it's not even really a question. I mean, it's just basic TA at this point. You know, if you go upwards in a parabolic rally 90% plus without any significant correction, and you reject from a major resistance zone between 48K and 52K, as seen by the volume profile, you're gonna see a test of that major support zone below, which is 38.5 to 37.5. There was actually small targets as well at 42 and stuff like that, but we've actually broken down below those already, so it's not even worth talking about. But that's not necessarily the bottom. The bottom could actually be quite a bit lower. We'll have to wait and see. But I've also got alternative targets, and I've spoken about them before. At 35K, that's a target as well. And then we've got a target down here at 32K, all the way down, and a target at 28.8K. And you might think, oh, those are quite low. And they are quite low. I do think they're quite low. I do think specifically 28K is quite low. But if we're looking at something that's quite interesting, we can take a look at it right now, is actually the Fibonacci. Go ahead and draw in Fibonacci. What you can see is we've rejected from 0.618, okay? And and if we're looking at what we did last cycle, okay? So last cycle, we'll draw Fibonacci from the top all the way down to the bottom. And we can see on the move, which we've been making comparisons to already in this video, we rejected from the same price level, and we retraced all the way down to the red level, which is 0.236, which happened being 7K at that time. But the same level, right, 0.236, right, after rejection from 0.618, if it plays out this time, that will leave us at around 28K for support. Now, I'm not saying that's going to play out again. I'm just saying there are similarities between this time, right, this cycle, and 2019, what we did in 2019. And so, given the fact that we rejected from this level precisely on Fibonacci, that could be a coincidence, or it could be a trend forming. And if it is a trend forming, that trend would mean we go down to 28K for a retest. What I will say is this: if we go much lower than 28K, I see no reason to stay bullish on Bitcoin. Okay? 28K would be the lowest I would be comfortable going while claiming that I'm bullish on the macro on Bitcoin. Going below 28K would be absolutely ridiculous. There is a trend, as you can see, a potential trend forming here that would say, okay, let's go to 28K, but nothing says we go below that. Nothing I can see at all says we go below that. And if we go below 28K, what have we done? We've lost 38.5K, we've lost 35K, we've lost 32K, we've lost 30K, we've lost 28K. Where are we going next from there? So we have to be very cautious about not staying too bullish for too long. Now, I'm sitting here and saying this, I'm very much macro bullish on Bitcoin. I'm saying it could go to 28K. That could be the lowest place it could go, but any lower than that, and we're out of here. right? That's what I'm saying to you right now. But realistically, this correction could go all the way to 28. Do I think that's a bit optimistic? Yes, I do. I'm saying it's a possibility. I say realistically, as I said, 38.5k is what we should need to be focusing on in the short term. I don't see the point really in predicting where exactly a move is going to go. Beyond that, because that's the major support zone. So how are we meant to make that information useful? Well, there's no use in really knowing exactly what's going to happen after this major support zone, because we can't really determine what's going to happen after the major support zone. We're not even there yet. We don't even know what the structure looks like when we're there. We don't even know if we're going to form bottoming formations on that support. All we know is that there is macro support at 38.5k. So we have to get there first and then consider whether it's going to break or not. We can't just look at 2019 and be like, oh, this happened in 2019, this is going to happen again. That's not how the market works. It could happen again, which is why I'm listing it as a possibility. But as of right now, what will happen, or what's very likely to happen, is 38.5k. And then we'll go from there in predicting lower prices. But in terms of whether Bitcoin's going to reach 38.5k, as I said, very likely. I don't see any evidence to the contrary at this point. Unless there is a news event or something like that, I don't really see a scenario in which it could not reach that level. But as of right now, we need to ground ourselves in reality, because obviously what happened when we were going upwards, right? People started predicting a break of all-time high within 2 months, right? I said, no, let's focus on the major macro resistance first. Let's focus on 48k to 52k first, and then we'll discuss it once we get there. We got there, it looked terrible, but everyone was focused on 60k, all right? And it's the same situation of the downside. Everyone's focusing on 25k, 30k, but no one's looking at the immediate support. So you can't get caught up in these bold predictions. Just because something is bold, just because something's provocative, right? Just because something is a bold prediction doesn't mean it holds any weight. You need to actually focus on the short-term realities. Where are we right now? Where are we going next? Because we don't know how Bitcoin's going to react to this support zone. It could react very well. Maybe the ETF narrative has given Bitcoin a much higher base than we would have expected. Maybe we will actually bottom out here instead of going lower. How do we know that? We don't know. So it's just guesswork. So we have to remain, and this is what every experienced analyst will tell you, is not trying to get views and clicks. Remain your focus, or keep your focus on the macro range. Where is the macro range? 38.5 to 48. That's the macro range. Let's keep focusing on that level. As of right now, our next target is 38.5k. We've made some moves in the short term in the last 48 hours that have kind of increased the possibility of us going there. Again, resistance support flip from the yellow line, threatening the upwards trend. RSI resistance rejection there. Multiple things have occurred that have definitely threatened the uptrend even further and have made it likely to break downwards. How else are we looking for targets? Because there's other ways to look for targets other than just macro resistance and support levels, right? We can look at things like Gaussian channel on the weekly chart. That's all the way down here at 26k. Okay, you can note that down. Okay, 26k. Realistically, if we went to 28k, we wouldn't lose it. So that opens up possibility to 28k or even lower prices even more. Bull market support bands up here at 35k, moving up to 38. Okay, so if we go down to 38k, maybe we'll get that bull market support band as support. These are things you have to consider before you just randomly throw out price numbers. But the main thing I'm looking at, other than the price levels themselves, is actually the weekly chart RSI. And this is something I've made myself very clear about, right? On the weekly chart, what do we have? We have an ascending RSI support level stemming all the way back from June 2022. We did the exact same thing in the last 2 cycles. We did it in 2018, and we did it back here, as you can see, in 2015, right? Ascending support levels before the halving, and then basically we had these massive upwards moves like in 2019, and after the upwards moves, we saw a correction that took us down to that support level and even below it, right? So I'm looking at 38.5k, 35k, 32k, 28k. I'm also looking at this weekly chart RSI support. And if we reach a level like 38.5k or like 35k, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is, and we're on this RSI support, okay, that's when you need to consider starting to buy, right? And then if we break down from that level, that's when you de-risk, right? You got to look at things like this. It's much more, much more intricate, much more advanced than just, Elliott wave theory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what most people do, and it means absolutely nothing. There's people on YouTube right now who are using Elliott wave theory to predict 3k Bitcoin. Elliott wave theory is the biggest joke. Anyone who does wave analysis as the primary form of analysis is basically guaranteed to not knowing what the hell they're doing, right? Trust the actual indicators, the actual support levels, the liquidation levels. Where are you getting the actual support? Where is the buying coming in? You're not going to get any of that from Elliott wave theory to any major extent. And if you do, it's going to be overly subjective and everyone's going to have different opinions on it. Trust the data. Right, one more time. Next target, 38.5k. Are we likely to get there? Yes. Do we need to break the upwards trend first? Yes, we do. Where's the upwards trend forming? 40k. If we break 40k, we enter a downwards trend. We go to 38.5k, and then we've got lower targets from there if we drop below that. It's very simple, guys. The lowest we can go on Bitcoin and remain macro bullish is 28k. Anything below that is bad for Bitcoin. Right? When are we breaking all-time highs? We're breaking all-time highs in Q4 this year. We've looked at these charts multiple times. There are trends on Bitcoin that say that after seeing a macro top, it takes 1,100 days. Okay, that's 1,100 days from there to break above that all-time high level. The same thing happened in 2019, 1,100 days. And if the same thing happens this time, we will be breaking all-time highs around the end of this year. We have nothing but time. There is no rush. If there is a correction here, it's not the end of the world. But now I'm just repeating myself. Sound like a broken record. I apologize for that. It needs to be said. People need to get the message into their heads. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Go ahead and check out the VIP group on Telegram if you want altcoin trading signals with entry, stop losses, targets, everything you need to trade the coins 3 to 4 times a week. It's all on Telegram. We also have a 24/7 group chat discussion going on there on Telegram, in a group chat with 120 members. If you want to discuss the market 24/7, join the Wolves of Crypto community on Telegram. Get it done. All the information is in the description below. We also have the Bitget and Bingx exchanges. If you need an exchange to buy and sell cryptocurrency or to trade leverage, these are the places you can do that. They've got very low trading fees. They've both never been hacked before. Bingx is global, non-KYC. Bitget is global with some restrictions. Check them out. Sign up using your location, whatever it may be, whatever preferences you have. Again, global non-KYC on Bitget, and Bitget is global with some restrictions. All the information is in the description below. My referral links are down there as well with 15% trading fee discounts and rewards. And then finally, the Crypto Academy Become a Trader course will teach you everything you need to know about trading, everything you need to know about learning to trade just before the bull market. Now is literally the time to do this. You do not want to waste the opportunity that will be coming over the next 18 months on Bitcoin, cryptocurrency in general. This is the place you can learn how to trade so you can take full advantage of it. Guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you tomorrow.